Welcome everybody to Meet My Friends. My guest today is Guy Burns, and he is NSA president right now. So this is where I met Guy, a National Speakers Association at Las Vegas chapter. Welcome, Guy. Tell us a little bit about you.
Well, thank you so much, Maria. Appreciate you having me on. I think this is an awesome project you're working on. A little bit about me could take a very long time, but just long story short, I grew up a redneck. So if anybody knows who Jeff Foxworthy is, all the country jokes, hunting, fishing, living way out in the country, and never imagined I would do something like the speaking career. I didn't even know something like this existed. And joined the Navy right out of high school, and because that's what my family did. Nobody's ever been to college. It's just we weren't a college family. You didn't have a lot of money, and just that wasn't a thing you did. So joined the military, and after I got out of the military, I started working for a civilian electrical contractor. I was on submarines. You can see some of my submarines behind me. And I was on submarines in the Navy, and I ran all the power generation equipment on nuclear power plants and helped maintain the nuclear power plant. So when I got out, I became an electrician because that's all I knew how to do. And the first job that I worked at for an electrical contractor, after about 9 months, I got promoted to area manager, and I started having responsibility of selling jobs. When I first started, it was just service work. So somebody would call me if their light switch wasn't working or if their bathroom fan wasn't working. But after about 9 months, I started having to sell bigger jobs to contractors, to homeowners, and I knew nothing about sales. So my boss said, you need to go see this guy. And he had a flyer on his desk of a guy named Brian Tracy. And I said, well, what is that? He goes, well, they have seminars on sales. I'm like, okay, I don't know what that is, but sure, whatever. And he said, but you're going to have to pay for it because you took the area manager position. We assumed that you knew what you were doing. So we're not going to pay for you. If you don't invest in you, we're not going to invest in you. I was really confused because in the Navy, they paid for everything. They paid for my training, they paid for my food, they paid for my boots. I mean, they gave you everything when you went in, and they paid for all of that. And so I was kind of confused. And he said, oh, and we're not going to pay you for the day you take off of work. I really didn't want to go, but I wanted to keep my job. And I saw Brian Tracy in 1988. And when I saw him, I thought, that's what I want to do. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what NSA was. I didn't know that a speaking industry even existed. I thought, how cool would that be to help people? And that started my journey on becoming a professional speaker.
Beautiful. That's awesome. So I see that people is liking the picture I posted on Facebook where I do the introduction for the person I'm interviewing. So I think your interview is probably going to be the most viewed because you have a lot of friends and a lot of people like you. And also the fact that many of the Toastmasters that I have as friends love the concept of national speakers because what I tell people is national speakers is like the cheesy part of Toastmasters. It's like where you get to learn the business of speaking. So I think people is very interested. It's just sometimes they think they cannot afford it, but I don't think it's expensive for the value that it gives. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, thank you. I think the two go very well together. I think there's a lot of Toastmasters that would benefit, even if they don't want a full-time professional speaking career. There's a lot of tools that NSA has that I think would help Toastmasters. And the reality is, compared to most associations, it's not that much. But compared to Toastmasters, it is quite a bit.
I think what happens is that Toastmasters offers a lot of trainings that are very cheap, and the membership is so affordable that when they compare it seems a lot, but in reality it's not a lot. There is much more expensive programs out there that don't really offer the benefits that we get as members of national speakers.
Yeah, I totally agree, Maria.
Thank you so much. So you were an electrician before becoming a speaker. What do you understand about energy? I know many of us don't understand electricity and how to connect things to work. What can you tell us about that?
Well, the interesting thing about electricity is it's a path. There's a source of energy. It goes through the wiring in your home or In a car, it goes to the battery and the alternator or the source of power, and it always has to go back to ground. And so when I talk with people about how it works is the question is, what is your source of power? When I saw Brian Tracy up there in the Anaheim Convention Center and there were 2,000 people in the audience and all of us were furiously taking notes, and I thought, this guy is changing lives. And that's what empowers me. When I work with somebody and I give them an idea or I share something that I've learned or I help them see something slightly differently, and then I get feedback from them that it changed their lives, that's what energizes me. So each of us has to decide what our power source is. So some companies use nuclear power, submarines use nuclear power, some uses coal fire, some uses the water from the dam here in Hoover Dam. We get a lot of our electricity. And the other thing is that it has to have some way to get back to the source. It's a big loop. And so what grounds you, what helps you keep your feet on the earth? And so I have had some amazing opportunities. For a redneck kid that grew up in a town called Prunedale, if that tells you how redneck we were, it was Prunedale. When I grew up there in the 60s, it had a population of 5,000. I looked recently, it has a population of 7,000. So in the last 55, 60 years, it's grown by 2,000 people. It is a very agricultural little town in the middle of nowhere. And if I grew up there, I said, I've had some amazing opportunities. I've spoken now in 12 countries to hundreds of thousands of people. I've had the opportunity to actually travel to 30 countries, because a lot of times when I travel for business, I'll hop over to another business or to another country and stop and visit there and spend some time. And maybe the biggest thing that I want people to get from this is everyone can do this. Everyone can follow their dream. When I saw Brian Tracy and I thought, that's my dream, I had no idea how to do it. There was no Google. I couldn't run home and Google how to be a professional speaker. I didn't even have a computer yet. And actually I did. By then I did have a computer, but I didn't have internet. And but I did have a computer, and I was just kind of learning some things. And I just want everybody to know that you absolutely, if you decide to do something and you move towards it, you believe in it, you focus your energy on it. I wake up some days and pinch myself. As you said, I'm the president of National Speakers Association Las Vegas. And it's like, how does a little redneck kid do that? And I just did it through perseverance, through studying and learning. And I just believe that everybody, and I've been listening to some of your friends and they have a lot of similar philosophies, that a lot of life is decision. And that's the main thing that I teach in most of my programs, is life is all about decision.
It is. But it is also giving someone opportunities. Like, I think sometimes when we get involved in projects, sometimes people view it as small, but sometimes you never know where the project can go. Like Kelly Clarkson, when she won the American Idol, she said, who would have known, who would have thought that it was ever going to be big? And some projects might start small like that, but they have the potential to grow big. You just don't see it right at the moment.
Yeah, I think you have the potential, because you are amazing. You're everywhere. You're in NSA, you're in Toastmasters, you're doing this, you're raising your son, and you just do amazing things. And I just watch the energy that you exude and the light that you put into the world. And I just think that you're going to do some amazing things.
Thank you so much, guys. It means the world to me, because it makes me happy. It makes me happy to be able to connect with people like you. And when I follow your posts, when I see what you're all about, when you're posting about someone died and you're going to the funeral, and if people wants to join, it's good. But if they don't want to, you understand, and there is no need to explain. And I just see a compassionate heart, right there. I remember that time we had the meeting about Black Lives Matter, when you said, I feel hurt and I've been crying, and I don't know if I have a reason to feel that way, or if I can do anything about it. And just the concern and just that reaction, not everybody got that. And you being a white guy, that means a lot for Black community and for other communities. Like, I'm from Hispanic community, and sometimes leaders or people that has power don't care for communities or for smaller groups or for groups that have been suppressed.
Mm-hmm. It is, and it's a very, very hard subject. And I spent a lot of time when I was in Virginia a few years ago when there were the riots. I worked with several groups there. Worked with a mainly African American church and a local DJ there, and we spent some time working with the community. And it is a very, very hard topic because there has been generational challenges, and there's problems on both sides. There's how do you address all of this? And I can't imagine, people say there is no white privilege, which kind of pisses me off because there obviously is white privilege. Even I grew up poor. I mean, my dad never moved out of his mom's house. I literally grew up in my grandmother's house. We did not grow up wealthy whatsoever, but I still know that I had white privilege. I still know that I got jobs that different people wouldn't have gotten had they been of color or possibly Hispanic. So it is we are one country, united under God, and I just want to continue contributing any way I can. And sometimes I don't know what to say, and sometimes I reach out to people and ask, and sometimes I just pray. But like you say, all we can do is treat our fellow Americans and people in the world with compassion. And what else can we do? We just got to love everybody because that's what God told us to do.
Yeah, that is a beautiful concept, but it is also a loving way of living that not everybody is able to do. Because sometimes I feel that people feel that they're gonna be judged by their own race, by their family, or by the people they share business or interest, and they don't want to be that person. Ultimately, you don't want to hurt anybody, but this is why sometimes it's hard to take a side. Because if you're standing on one side, maybe someone on the side that is with you, they're not so happy, and that's what makes taking sides sometimes hard. But you just have to stand for what you believe and have compassion. I agree with that.
Absolutely.
Also, I was at the training where you teach us how to introduce humor into speaking. And I know you're a fun guy, and for you it's easy, but what will you tell someone that for them is hard? They don't know how to introduce a joke or how to work around humor?
And that's a great question. First place, jokes are not that great in speaking, especially if you're not a great joke teller. Even if you are a very good joke teller, the challenge is they've probably heard it now. Because of the internet, most people have heard just about every joke. And you'll get some laughs. The reality is funny things happen to us pretty much every day. And so what we do is when we create a presentation or when we work on a speech that we're going to be giving, the first thing we should do is just get the information, whatever's in our mind, just get it out, get it on paper or get it on the computer screen, just get it out. Then go back and say, how can I find humor in that situation? Because the reality is all of us, when we're children, an average 6-year-old laughs about 300 times a day. An average adult laughs about 15 to 50 times a day. Let's be more like kids. I think 4-year-olds are the greatest creatures on the planet because they're old enough to have a conversation with us, but they're too young to hate. And just everything is exciting and everything is new. And what if everybody was like that? What if everybody didn't know how to hate because of skin color? What if anybody, the only thing they hate is broccoli and naps? And but what if we could all act like 4-year-olds? So what can we see the humor in? What can make us smile? And then we can say the same thing in different ways. So a lot of times you don't want to add humor and you don't want to add jokes. Now, there are times that a joke can fit in, but again, you need to be good at delivering them on your timing. But more importantly is how can we see something that's humorous? How can we see something that would make somebody smile? And the great thing about being a professional speaker is we're not stand-up comedians. So we're not looking to get uproaring laughs. If it happens, that's great. But if the laugh isn't that funny, if it isn't that big, but our point still makes the point and has a little bit of humor and makes people chuckle or smile, we've still succeeded. And that's one of the biggest things is a lot of professional speakers are afraid of humor because what if I say something funny and nobody laughs? It's okay. as long as it still makes your point, which is the most important thing, is everything that we say in our presentations, we should be delivering value to our audience.
I think that's interesting the way you say it. I remember I went to the convention of Toastmasters last year, and there was a speaker in there, and he was measuring his speech by the laughs that he was getting. He was, I think on the previous one, he had like 300 laughs, and he had a device where he was recording the laughs, and he was getting disappointed that he wasn't getting the same amount of laughs, and he was getting stressed out. You can see like he's trying to be creative, and what can he say, and he's thinking of there's Toastmasters in the audience, so he tried to make it appropriate to the audience, but he wasn't getting what he wanted. And I think that speaking in presentations and being not a comedian speaker is better, because you don't have to be stressed out or disappointed if you don't get enough laughs. I think that the goal is not to get laughs, is to give presentations where you can teach someone something and you can change their life if they apply what you teach.
Yeah, and that's absolutely true. We do need humor. Without a doubt, we need to have humor in our presentations. In fact, Patricia Fripp, who you know, who's a legend in NSA, and she's spoken at some Toastmaster conventions. A lot of Toastmasters will know her. She said, professional speakers only have to have humor in their presentations if they want to get paid. So we do need to have humor in our presentations. We do need our presentations especially if it's a heavy topic. Years and years and years ago, 10, 12 years ago, I used to teach Microsoft Excel classes. And at the end of the day, I would get comments that you should be a comedian, because I knew that if I tried to teach Excel, say, if you click this button here, this happens. If you add this formula, this happens. People were going to check out. It wouldn't be a good day. So I put some funny things in. I put some sounds in. Well, ooh, ah, when something cool happened on the screen. And we had some fun throughout the day. So we do need to have some lightness in our presentations. But if you're trying to count the number of laughs, and if you're not a stand-up comedian, then you're doing it for the wrong reason. Your goal as a presenter, like you said, is to change lives. And I've spent, I started my company in 2003, my professional speaking company. And so I'm coming, in fact, I just passed 17 years in October. Just had my anniversary. LinkedIn reminded me a lot. But in that time, I've been on a journey to help people. And I've made some good money. I've got to do some amazing things, but that was never my focus. My focus is to help people. If I can change somebody a little bit, if I can give them one idea, if I can give them one concept, then if I was independently wealthy, this is still what I would do. I would still travel the world once COVID's over, or give virtual presentations. I would still work with people to share ideas to help them improve their lives, or at least give them the opportunity. And the great thing is, doing it for so long now, for 17 years, I've created some very methodical programs that are easy to understand, nice alliteration. They have 4 Ps. They're easy to understand. And if somebody literally would do these, I haven't had a bad day in 15, 20 years. I just decided to stop having bad days. Now, there's days that have been worse than others. My mom passed 8, 10 years ago, and that was a tough day, but it wasn't a bad day. She was ready to go. She had some challenges. She was ready to move on. We were all sad, but it wasn't a bad day. I've gotten flat tires. I've had auto accidents. I've had things happen, but every day is a great day. And I just program myself every day to use my system, that if I do this every day, I know that today's going to be a success, even if everything doesn't come out the way I want it to. And it's an amazing way to live life. I don't watch news. I have no desire to watch news, because that's negative. I've decided to surround myself with people like you, and a lot of the people that you have on your Meet My Friends, because they're great people. They carry great energy, and this is just an amazing journey. And for people to wake up and be grumpy and get in their car and go to work and do a job they hate and come home and be grumpy in traffic and eat some dinner, watch some TV, pay some bills, get up and go to work and be grumpy in traffic and hate a job they hate. stop. This is an amazing life we live. And so my whole goal was, when I became a professional speaker, was to create a system that people could understand that would help them do that, because life is just amazing. And yeah, stuff's going to happen, but I just wanted to create a program that was so clear that I could work with businesses or I could work with individuals. And if they got this message and applied it, their businesses would be healthier, their home lives would be healthier, their relationships would be healthier. And I'm truly blessed that I do what I love to do. And I figured out through a lot of trial and error, and Toastmasters helped me a lot, and NSA helped me a lot. It took me a while to get to where I wanted to go, but I say I literally pinch myself. Well, that's not true. I don't pinch myself. Metaphorically, I pinch myself, and I can't believe that I get to do what I do, because it's absolutely amazing.
That's beautiful. Tell me, how do you decide when you're giving a presentation when to give a break for people, or do you do any kind of exercises to gain the energy if you see like people is tired, or they need to use the bathroom, or they're showing you like they need to do something else? And how do you break a session?
Sure, absolutely. And it depends a lot on, obviously, the length of the presentation. During a 5 to 7 minute speech, I don't usually give bathroom breaks, but most of my presentations are an hour and a half. And again, an hour to an hour and a half. And again, I don't normally give a break on that, although I might do an exercise. And then a lot of my presentations, I've given over between 750 and 800. I have to go back and count now. I have a record of them. Full day presentations. And so those are very methodical. We know that about every hour and a half, somebody needs to have a break. But we know when we're speaking, especially in a full day presentation, we need to change our delivery about every 6 to 8 minutes. So I do something different. I have them write something down. I have them do a group exercise. I ask some questions. I ask them to participate. We have them share with a partner. So there's a lot of things that we can do to keep the audience involved. And when we're online, even more so. So there's a lot of things that I'll do. If I'm doing a training on Zoom, then I will go to breakout rooms. I recently had the opportunity to do a training for a big organization where they had people Zooming in from 14 countries. And so it was about an hour presentation and then 30 minutes of Q&A. So during that time, I used slides. I used face-to-face presentations. We went into breakout rooms. We did polls. We did different things to keep the people engaged. And I have some really funny stories that we tell. We ask a lot of questions on, what do you think about this? Give us your poll, or go into a breakout room and come back. So audience engagement is incredibly important, because unfortunately now with our phones and everything that we do today, it's like quick. You know, people are watching all these YouTube videos and TikToks and all of these quick things. And so we need to do something that catches their attention differently. We can't be, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, somebody would stand up and talk for an hour and everybody would just listen. That doesn't work anymore. And so the biggest thing that we constantly think about, if anybody ever asks me, what's the most important thing about speaking? It's the shift in the mindset of your audience. And I got a lot of what I've learned is from Darren LaCroix and Ed Tate and Craig Valentine and Mark Brown, a lot of the world champions of public speaking and Toastmasters who are also in NSA. The biggest thing that you have to focus on is in the audience minds, what's happening. And if you talk too long, you start sounding like Charlie Brown's teacher. For any of you who have ever seen Charlie Brown specials, his teacher always talked like wah, 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 wah. And nobody understood Charlie Brown's teacher. And we start sounding like that. And it's unfortunate that we're in a society that's like that, and especially with younger people. Younger people are even more. I mean, they were born with a cell phone in their hand. By the time my granddaughter was 18 months old, she already could do things on the cell phone that I can't do yet. So everything that we have to do is the mindset of the audience. When I did that big presentation, I spoke to the president of the company and found out what countries are they coming in What are some of the challenges? Who can I talk to? I spoke to some people here in the US. I spoke to a guy in England. I spoke to a lady in Australia. I wanted to find out what was going on and what is in their top of mind so that when I delivered my presentation, it would be targeted to what their concerns were. So it's absolutely critical that everything we do, we have to think about the audience. You know, for example, we started to get on earlier and I was having a challenge with my camera. I had to shut my computer down and start back up. My camera is a Brio 4K. It's set right here, so I can look straight at it. A lot of webinars, you see people looking at this, and they're looking at their screen all the time, and you know, the audience is seeing their forehead, and it disconnects us. So what can we do? Everything we can do. Obviously, I've got a Rode mic here. The mic that's on most computers is not very good. So I have a powered mic, so it'll deliver better quality. Every single thing that we do, whether it's a Toastmaster presentation, whether it's a presentation at work, whether it's a paid presentation, everything that we do. And my dad was really, really, really methodical about whatever you do, do the best you can. I don't care what you do. If you sweep the floor, sweep it well. And he would make me re-sweep the garage floor because it wasn't good enough. If I mowed the lawn and I didn't get the trimming around the edge of the tree close enough, he'd make me go back and do it. And at the time, I hated it. But now, every single thing that I do in my life, I do the best that I can. And sometimes it takes extra time, and sometimes it costs me extra money. But in the long run, one is I feel better about me, and two is I know I'm offering value. And when you offer value, the world will see that. In fact, the world only pays for one thing. The world pays for value. And if we can offer value to the world, then something will come back towards us.
I agree with that. Now tell us, how do you give yourself a break?
My motorcycle's a big one. I have a real nice motorcycle. I love to take that out. My girlfriend and I go up to Mount Charleston. We'll go out to Valley of Fire. We'll go out to Red Rock. I also am an avid photographer. In fact, I just got a new camera that I'm learning, upgraded from my old Canon to a new Canon 90D. And so I love photography. My daughter lives close. My daughter is 35. She lives about 5 minutes away. And so we go hang out with her. We have a couple puppies and she has a couple dogs. And so we go to the park and we hang out. Every day I put time in for relaxation. I'm an early morning riser. I'm usually up before 5. It's rare that I'm ever in bed at 5 o'clock. Usually between 4:30 and 4:45 I wake up. Today I woke up exactly 4:45. That's just when my body wakes up. And so I get up, I take the dogs out, I go for a run, and I usually run about 3 miles. And during that time, I usually don't listen to anything. I'm just thinking about my day. Or if I do listen to something, it might be a TED Talk or something on a topic that I'm creating and working on. I'm constantly growing my business, so I'm looking for new ideas. And then I work for about 4 or 5 hours, and then I take a nap. Because unlike little kids who hate naps, I love naps. And so yeah, I start working. I'm usually working by 6 o'clock, and I'll work till about 6 to 11 or something like that. And then I'll take a little nap, and then I'll usually work until about 5 or 6 o'clock every night. And some people say, well, wow, 12-hour days, even with a 1 hour nap, that's a lot of work. And it's not work, though. I absolutely love what I do. And as a result, it just doesn't feel like work. It's, like I say, I live an amazing life.
You're just blessed to do what you love.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Sometimes I switch the topic to something fun, but today when I was preparing for you, because I'm using my son's computer, I had to use something to bring it up. So there is 2 frames that I bought for Christmas a couple years ago. So one of them has the word love. What can you tell us about love?
About what?
Love.
Love, L-O-V-E?
L-O-V-E, love.
Okay.
So it's a switch from business and
Yeah, no worries at all. Nothing matters without that. And there's different levels of love for all kinds of things. some people, and I know several friends who don't have children, and that's fine. They've decided that that wasn't for them, that they didn't want the responsibility, that um, they didn't want to have kids. And I can't imagine not having my children and my grandchildren. And you know, there is no real reason to live without love. God is love, and you know, Christ died on the cross because he loved us so much, so that each of us could go to heaven. And when we have that example, and we say, what does life matter? What does it matter to make money? What does it matter to do anything? Hi there. Thanks for letting us use your computer.
Hi.
How are you, young man?
He's shy.
And for you, I know, I see you dote on him, and when you see him, your eyes light up. And when you talk about him, sometimes when we're at a meeting or I see you somewhere and you talk about your son, your whole demeanor changes. And yeah, there is no reason to go on without love. And unfortunately, in this world, there's so much hate and anger and animosity that if we can be that light in the world, if we can be you know, a beacon, we have the opportunity to literally change the world.
Yes, Alex is my little one. He's 9 years old, but I also have Nate. You haven't met Nate.
He's 20 something, right?
Yeah, Nate is 23. Yeah, this is the one
Okay.
I'm using the computer from. What can you tell us about Hope?
About Hope? She's a friend of mine. Oh, no. It's interesting. If you ever watched the movie The Hunger Games, if you haven't, it's a good movie series. That whole movie was based on hope. Is every one of us hopes that we can provide a better life for ourselves, a better life for our children, a better life for our families. Hope literally is what got a lot of people through during the World War II, when you had the prisoners that were in the prisoner of war camps in Dachau and Auschwitz. Many of them talk about hope. And there was a man named Viktor Frankl. And for any of you who are readers, there's a book. It's not very long. It's not an easy read because he talks about some dark stuff, but it is a relatively quick read, and it's called Man's Search for Meaning. And it was how we can take control of our lives, and how he gave hope. Many of the people that were in the prisoner of war camp with him stated that they probably would not have survived had he not given them hope, had he not helped them understand that they had the power to take control, even though their bodies were physically controlled and their circumstances were physically controlled by the Nazis. They had the ability to take control of their minds and take control of themselves. And hope is literally what drives all of us. If there was no hope, if it was just despair, and they say that the number one reason, or the main reason for suicide, is loss of hope. Somebody doesn't see any light anymore. They don't see anything good that can happen. And when they lose hope, why go on? And so anytime that we have the ability to help someone, to give them a hand up, to give them some hope that things can be better, we literally, just like I said earlier, are putting that light back into the world.
We definitely can. My mom called me earlier, like 30 minutes before the interview. She was crying because my brother is mad at her. And she explained it to me, the situation. And when we end the call, she was very happy. She was in another complete feeling. And I'm happy that I was able to change that for her. So we definitely have that power. And I will say to people, when someone reaches out to you, you are the right person that they're looking for to change that despair. You have the power, so use it.
Yeah, and sometimes we feel like, well, I'm not equipped, or I don't know what to do, or I don't know what to say. A lot of times it's not saying anything. It's just being there and just letting them know that somebody cares.
Yes, definitely. Where can people follow you?
Well, guyburns.biz is my website, and guy@guyburns.biz is my email. And the reason I have a .biz is because Guy Burns means business. And so it's a .biz website because mostly I do work with businesses. I'm on Facebook, Guy Burns, pretty easy to find. I'm one of Maria's friends. So friends with Maria, you should be able to find me. It's just, I don't do much Instagram. I am on LinkedIn. I work with businesses on LinkedIn. And it just, if I could leave you with one thing or kind of add one thing in here where we're at right now, is create a system for yourself of what you expect out of life. Mine, the system that I use, and I've created again over about 17 years, is how do I stay present, positive, productive, and persistent? Every day when I wake up, one of the first things I do, I actually have a little graphic of that I created, and it's what I use in my seminars all over the world, is how do I stay present? How do I keep my head in the game? A lot of times when we get someplace and we start to talk to someone, we're thinking about what happened yesterday or what happened earlier, or we're thinking about what might happen later or what we're going to have for lunch. And when we don't stay present, it's like robbing ourselves of the ability to connect, but it's also robbing the other person. And one of the ways that I would say, there's a couple ways to do that. One is, how do you stay present for your whole day? So the first one would be, imagine if you're going to the airport and you obviously have to go through the security detector. Well, now imagine when you go to work or you go to a friend's house or wherever you go, you're meeting somebody else. When you walk through their door, imagine there's a security detector there. And there's a guard who says, are you bringing anything negative? Did anything bad happen last night? Did you have a challenge at home? Did you get stuck in traffic? Yeah, I am. This happened and that happened. Go leave that in the car. That's dangerous. Just like taking bombs and knives is dangerous on a plane. Bringing negative energy with you is not, it doesn't contribute. It doesn't put light into the world. So the first thing I would suggest is people stay present. When you walk through that security detector, make sure that you're leaving everything else and that you're present for that conversation, whether it's a one-on-one with a client, whether it's a meeting with your boss, whether you're hanging out with friends, be there for them. And whatever you're going to do, leave that out there. And the next thing is positive. And we live in a great country. We have more food than most of us need. Trust me, I could use a little less food. We have computers. We have amazing things. And yet people whine. People complain about traffic. Traffic's bad. You have a car? My knee hurts. You have a knee? Some people don't have knees. They got blown off, we just complain about silly stuff. I see people complain about their GPS. How the GPS told me to turn early. It's magic. There's something in the sky shooting a signal down to a piece of plastic on your windshield, and it tells you when to turn. And every once in a while, it's a little bit early or a little bit late. It's magic. And we whine about it. So just be happy about things. Look at what you have and not what he has a bigger car. She has a nicer house. Who cares? Just live in the moment, be present, and be happy. And then be productive. Decide what you're going to do each day. Every night before I go to bed, I spend a couple minutes and I visualize what my next day will look like. I wrap up my day about 9 o'clock and I go walk my dogs and I start focusing while they're walking and sniffing the bushes. I think about what my next day is going to look like. And then I come home and I do a little bit of exercise to kind of decrease some of the negativity in my body. And I sit and visualize for about 5 or 10 minutes, just quiet. And then I get ready for my bed routine, brush my teeth, whatever. And by 10 o'clock, I'm asleep. A lot of people, oh no, I have to watch the Late Show. No, you don't. It's a bunch of crap. Give yourself quality sleep. And then when I get up in the morning, I think about what I focused on last night, and I decide, what I'm going to do today. How am I going to be productive? And the biggest thing is taking responsibility. Under productivity is taking responsibility. I didn't get this done because blah. No, you didn't get this done because you didn't get it done. No more excuses. I'll ask somebody, why were you late? Oh, because of traffic. No, you were late because you left too late. There was traffic yesterday too, and traffic the day before. Yeah, it's going to happen. When we take responsibility, that does away with the majority of our productivity problems. And then being persistent. And a couple of points under being persistent is one is be a student. Study all the time. Like I say, I watch TED Talks. I listen to other speakers. I listen to, if I'm getting ready for another sales presentation, I've done hundreds, literally hundreds of sales presentations, but I'm still reading sales books. I'm still learning from other people. Maybe they present it in a way that I could connect differently with my audience and I get an idea or I get a technique. And the bottom line is every day I say, was I the best me I could be today? Was I the best significant other? Was I the best speaker? Was I the best boss? Was I the best? My grandkids call me Sir Guy. I won in the grandkid lottery. When my granddaughter was about 2, she has several granddads and great granddads because, divorces and because it's generations. And she didn't really have a good name for me. And she came to my Sunday school class and I was teaching 3s and 4s. She should have been in the 2-year-olds, but she'd never been to our church before. And she didn't know the teacher and she was uncomfortable. She wanted to come to my class. So when she came into my class, all of my students, all the 3s and 4s in my class call me Mr. Guy. And the other teacher was Miss Alex. And that's the way they address us, Mr. Guy and Miss Alex. Well, Riley started calling me Mr. Guy. But at 2, she couldn't form a T. T is really hard for children. It's one of the last letters they learn to say. And she couldn't say Mr. Guy, so it kind of was Mr. Guy, Mr. Guy. And then pretty soon the M got dropped. And I am now Sir Guy. And both of her brothers now call me Sir Guy because that's all they've ever heard. And, so I asked myself, was I the best grandpa I could have been today? Did I do anything? My granddaughter has social media that's locked down social media, only family can be on it. But did I do something for my grandma? Did I do something for my granddaughter? And I fail some days. I'm not always the best boyfriend. I sometimes let my girlfriend down. I'm not always the best Sir Guy. I forget or I don't do something. I'm not always the best NSA chapter president. I'm supposed to send a letter to my marketing director and I don't get to it or I forget. I'm human. But my goal is every day, was I the best me that I could be? And what can I do tomorrow to be a little bit better? And when I focus on that, I know that there's no reason to be sad. There's no reason to be grumpy. Because if I stay present and keep my head in the game, if I stay positive and appreciate things and put light into the world, if I stay productive and do a good job, and if I focus on being the best, there's no reason to be sad or grumpy because there's nothing else that could have changed. I did the best that I could do that day. And it really changes the way that I live my life. Like I say, I refuse to have bad days. There's just no reason. So anybody that wants to reach out to me, they can go to my website. They can find me on Facebook. They can find me on LinkedIn. And I just really appreciate the way you're doing this. I've watched several of them. What number am I now? Am I like 20?
Yeah. 19.
19. Okay. I knew it was getting close. And like Stormy was 15. I watched some of his and what a great guy. And so I just really appreciate what you're doing here, putting light into the world with this, because I know it takes you a lot of time and energy and creativity. And I just really appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you. I'm really enjoying this. So you're going to get a share with the number 19. And soon enough, we're going to make a presentation. I was thinking to go to Chianti, the Italian restaurant where I work, just because it's really pretty. So we can invite friends and family over.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, we have a good number of people already. So at least maybe if I can get one more, if we can do 20, it will be a good number. Even 18 was good enough. It's just I'm missing number 13. Because Laura Porreca, we weren't able to record, and then Judy says she loves 13, so I'll probably do Judy 13 and then Laura 20 if she contacts me back. But there is other people that also want to interview, like Jim Brew. He says He's not my friend because I haven't interviewed him, but I said, well, let me know when you're ready. And it is my pleasure to have you. I was having a big smile yesterday when you called me to confirm that we were going to meet today at 9. I was at work, so I picked up the phone and I'm like, oh my God, he's going to be on the show. So I was really happy. Like, you make my day. I admire you so much. And I am glad that you trusted me to be in here.
And I'm glad that you felt that I was worthy to be on your wonderful show. Thank you.
You are, you are. We're gonna have a presentation where you're gonna be able to speak, and I know that we're gonna be delighted by what you share because you're a wise man, and we have so much to learn from you.
Did you just call me a wise guy? Oh, no, wise man. Okay.
You're the guy that sets the stage on fire. This guy is on fire.
Oh,
Right. And I have other shows if you like to come back. And also what I do with the guests is if you want to return, I do the return, but you still keep your number 19 because that's
perfect.
how I'm gonna organize it. And I also have online dating if you wanna give people tips to better date or how to find a significant one. I'm gonna be doing 21 days until Christmas. That's gonna start recording soon. We're gonna do countdown until Christmas Day, and it's gonna be pre-recorded so we can show those videos for raising hope and happiness. Because I know Christmas is the happiest time of the year, and I want to be able to contribute to that happiness.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, it's been a pleasure.
And you too. I always love seeing your bright, smiling face, Miss Maria. Yeah. Yeah. And we're fortunate to have you as part of our group because you're wonderful and you're giving and you're helpful and your smile lights up the room.